Chapter 1451, A Brilliant Little One. Is that really the case? Xiao Nan caressed De Bao's little face. She realized that this action was not only popular with the triplets when they were younger during milk feeding times but also when they were older. The triplets would always reveal a smitten expression whenever she touched their little faces or heads. Yes, Mom. It's really the case. De Bao could not help rubbing his face in Xiao Nan's warm and cozy palm. He silently said in his heart, I have the best mother in the world. That's good then. At this moment, Xiao Nan was not worried about De Bao anymore. Bao, San Bao, I hope that the situation today won't happen again. The two of you should learn from De Bao. Look at how mature and steady he is. It will be great if the three of you can moderate your characters. When they were at home, Bao and San Bao would still be fussy. De Bao had already achieved the stage of behaving the same way both in public and private. He was so quiet that Xiao Nan's heart ached for him. It was true that the dragon had 9 sons, but all of them were different. San Bao blushed and tugged at her little dress. Mom, I am a demure little girl. I am very obedient. I won't argue with Bao again next time. Having said that, the little girl snuggled into Xiao Nan's arms shyly, conquering the space in her mother's arms. Xiao Nan smoothed San Bao's little ponytail. Since you said that, Mom will believe you then. As a demure little girl, how can you quarrel with your brother? Isn't it just the top place? It's not that important. I've taught you all before. Scores are not important. What knowledge you have learned and how much of it you have mastered is the most important. Next, without waiting for Xiao Nan to speak further, Bao immediately raised his hands and promised. Mom, don't be angry. I was just joking with San Bao. I just find it very fun to watch San Bao flare up. Things like exams, I have done all that I could and was careful and detailed when I wrote the answers. How many marks I get in the end is actually not a big deal. To other children, studying was a mission. However, to Bao, studying was no different from playing. He was completely relaxed about it. However, each time his grandmother talked about his parents' schooling days, she would mention how well they did in their studies and that they always came out on top. At that time, Bao did think of becoming as outstanding as his parents. Later on, when San Bao expressed this intention first, Bao teased San Bao and said he wanted to do the same. The more he teased, the more serious he became, which caused such an embarrassing situation today. Little bad egg. San Bao lifted her face from Xiao Nan's arms and made funny faces at Bao. Mom, look. Bao always bullies me. He still calls himself my elder brother. Mom, in the future, can I be the elder sister and Bao the younger brother? The corners of Xiao Nan's mouth twitched. San Bao, this is a little too difficult. Mom can't do that. Unless she stuffed Bao and San Bao back into her womb and swapped their times of birth, San Bao would never have the chance to be Bao's elder sister in this lifetime. But it's okay. San Bao still has Xiao Bao, this younger brother. Have you forgotten? You were the one who came up with Xiao Bao's name. Upon hearing his name, Xiao Bao perked up. Lying on Xiao Nan's thigh, he inched nearer to San Bao. Sister. It's okay. You still have me, Xiao Bao. He was also Sister San Bao's younger brother. He did not want other people to fight with him for his elder brothers and sister. After receiving this reply, San Bao had some regrets. She really wanted to be Bao's elder sister. Before Xiao Bao was born, San Bao was the youngest one in the family. When she was 2 years old, there was once whereby she kicked up a ruckus and said that she wanted to be the eldest and not the youngest one. Fortunately, when San Bao could differentiate who was older, Zihua became pregnant. In addition, 4 months into her pregnancy, her tummy was showing and one could feel the fetus movement. After Sanbao touched her auntie's tummy and felt the little baby inside, she knew that she would be able to fulfill her wish of being an elder sister after the baby was born. As such, Sanbao stopped insisting Xiaonan to stuff her and Bao back into the womb and swap the sequence of the births. Bao retorted with a funny face. She wished to be his elder sister? In the next lifetime. After coaxing the 4 children, including Xiaobao, Xiaonan gave Tiandong a call to ask him to fetch Xiaobao home. When the triplets commenced primary school studies tomorrow, Xiaobao had to return to school too. When Xiaobao was leaving, he looked back every 3 steps that he took. Red eyes, tears swirling in his eyes and pouting lips. It was as if Tiandong was not his biological father but some human trafficker, kidnapping him away. Tiandong was so angry that he had the urge to give his son a few punches. Was this his biological child? Which child would look as if he had been separated from his loved ones by life and death when he was going home with his father? This strong-headed child. After getting into the car, Tiandong wanted to have a chat with Xiaobao about life. Unexpectedly, as soon as Xiaobao got into the car, his eyes were not red anymore and his tears gone. The only thing was that he was still pouting. Not kicking a fuss anymore. He still thought that he had to give him a good round of persuasion, cede his authority, and bow down before he could appease this little ancestor of his family. Since Xiaobao suddenly contained all of his emotions, the numerous drafts in Tiandong's mind could not be put to good use then. Xiaobao snorted and sneered. Will you let me continue to stay at maternal grandma's house if I kick up a ruckus? Or let me go to primary school together with cousins? I can't. HMMPH. Since that was the case, why would he continue kicking up a ruckus? Wouldn't that be a waste of his energy? The purpose of his tears was to make his auntie's heart ache for him, in exchange for a few more kisses. It was such a waste to use them on a block of wood like his father. The child was young but very brilliant. When the child knew that crying would resolve the problem and satisfy his desire, crying would become his weapon. On the contrary, if the child knew that no one would bother about him no matter how miserably and loudly his cries were, which would expend his energy and lead to exhaustion, he would give up on the tactic of crying then. This phenomenon was perfectly portrayed by Xiaobao in this case. After figuring out Xiaobao's thoughts, Tiandong suddenly felt like kowtowing to his son. Xiaobao, next time when you take over my company, Dad really doesn't need to worry that you will be conned, harmed by others. Or let Grandpa and Dad's life efforts go down the drain. If you don't con others until they go bankrupt or suffer huge losses, that's already considered good. Xiaobao snorted arrogantly and lifted his chin. He did not wish to speak to his stupid father. After the 4 children went to school, Xiaonan felt more relaxed now than the summer vacation. After sending the children to school, she rushed to her workplace. The timing was just nice. At the sight of Xiaonan rushing into the office, He smiled. The 3 children are starting primary school today, right? Indeed. That's why I woke up extremely early today. I slept for 1 hour less. Chapter 1452, It was worrying that the children were sensible as well. When the children woke up early and excited, the person who suffered directly was none other than Xiaonan, the biological mother. She had no choice. When the children were awake, regardless of how sleepy Xiaonan was, she had to follow suit and wake up as well. He had a look of understanding on his face. 4 years had passed and He's son had gotten married. More importantly, He's daughter-in-law was pregnant. A few months later, He could become a grandpa. Perhaps it was because that his family was going to have a newborn soon, but whenever He mentioned the Zai family's triplets now, his liking for them was well expressed not only in words but also on his face. Furthermore, He was a newbie in raising grandchildren while Xiaonan was a veteran. In order to welcome the birth of his grandson, He was like a good student, asking Xiaonan a lot of questions. He even took notes. He had already filled up the pages of the palm-sized notebook. Knowing that Jiaonan's family operated the #1 mother and infant chain store in China, He Yi asked what things were the most suitable for his grandson. He also asked Jiaonan if she had any good recommendations. Ever since the poisoned milk powder incident, Jiaonan had a discussion with Tiandong. The mother and infant market was so big and there were so many products. Was it possible for them to invest more heavily in milk powder? She'd rather the company earn less money, or even not earn money at all, and produce the best and most nutritious milk powder for all the families in China. Good things were good, after all. A single use could produce quality comparison results. After some time, everyone could feel that the quality of the baby love milk powder from the mother and infant store under the Tian Corporation was especially good. A lot of kids had a higher level of acceptance for the milk powder produced by them when weaning. Aside from weaning, baby love milk powder catered to different nutritional needs required by children of different ages. This allowed babies at every growing stage to get the full nutrition required and turn out healthy. If the milk powder was good, the children would naturally turn out well after drinking it. Over time, baby love milk powder became famous and also the most popular milk powder in the Chinese market. In addition to the advertisements they had created previously as part of their publicity efforts, everyone understood that baby love milk powder was of high quality and their profit margins were little, just so that tens of thousands of families' children's health in China was ensured. All their efforts were not in vain. Even today, although baby love milk powder didn't seem to have brought the company much monetary gain, the presence of this top-notch milk powder influenced their other products, thus producing a positive result. As such, the money baby love earned didn't decrease at all. It was not clear to others that in a short period of 4 years, baby love, the subsidiary company under Tian Corporation, had a booming business and a great reputation. Its performance in the headquarters was higher each year, exceeding those from the other well-established subsidiary companies. As Jiaonan Sr., He Yi knew that Jiaonan had made great contributions. Since he had a good teacher beside him, a mother who had raised 3 children, He Yi didn't waste any time and asked Jiaonan directly for advice. After understanding He Yi's needs, Jiaonan was also generous. When the child is born, I'll give him a 100-day gift bag. The contents of this bag are quite complete. Use them for the child first. If you find them suitable, we can talk about the rest. As such, before the little grandson from He Yi's family was born, he had already received Jiaonan's gift. It was a give-and-take situation. Jiaonan and He Yi had interacted for the longest. Among all the seniors, Jiaonan naturally got along best with this senior. Upon hearing that the triplets were so excited about going to the primary school that they couldn't fall asleep, He Yi smiled. Could it be that this was the same for your Dabao? The last time I saw Dabao, he had a stern look on his face. I thought that he had seen his father. Upon mentioning Dabao, He Yi's tone was full of appreciation. When elders looked at juniors, they naturally wished the latter to be livelier and happier. However, if the elder had different expectations of this junior, then he or she would naturally wish the junior to be more than that. Jiaonan laughed bitterly. Don't talk about that. I'd rather Dabao wake me up as he was too excited. Dabao's the same as me. He woke up purely because Bao and Sanbao were too noisy. The old master had brought Dabao up for a long period of time. After he had done so, her father-in-law would pull Dabao to the study room for a heart-to-heart talk from time to time. Forget it that Zai Sheng would be serious in speech and manner toward Dabao when he was at home. When he pulled the 3 children together for training and sports, he had much higher expectations for Dabao as compared to Bao and Sanbao. Ever since the 3 children reached the age of 5, Zai Sheng would get them into the army when he didn't have any mission. It was unknown where Zai Sheng got 3 sets of children's camouflage clothes and he made them wear them during summer. Perhaps it was because the triplets were the children of the Zai family that they had the natural perseverance to be soldiers. After the delicate Sanbao entered the army, she always complained that it was tough when she talked to Jiaonan over the phone. Thereafter, she insisted that Jiaonan not to take her away from the army. She wanted to stay with De Bao and Bao and believed that she could overcome these difficulties by herself. Since San Bao had already said so, how could Jiaonan bring San Bao back just because she felt heartache for her? If she did so, she wasn't loving her but harming her instead. Because of this, ever since the children were 5 years old, Jiaonan was never worried that they would be bullied by other children in school. When the children came to San Bao, they would only be bullied by her, let alone if they went to De Bao or Bao. Every time she sent them to school, Jiaonan would tell them that they must not take the initiative to bully other children in school. Of course, if they were being bullied, Jiaonan wouldn't let them be foolishly beaten when they had the ability to protect themselves. Because of this, Jiaonan was invited to the kindergarten thrice when they were still in kindergarten. Having grown under such an environment, De Bao's behavior wasn't that of a usual 7-year-old. He was matured early, and that made Jiaonan feel sour in her heart. However, the 3 generations of men in the Zai family felt that it was a must to cultivate De Bao in such a manner. Only then would it be good for De Bao. Seeing that De Bao was still enjoying himself and didn't have any resentment at all, Jiaonan felt heartache but could only tolerate and not say anything to that. As such, in response to He Yi's question, it was basically impossible for De Bao to display behaviors of having a short temper or being unable to sleep due to excitement. Chapter 1453, A Newbie That Caused People a Headache. He Yi rolled his eyes at Jiaonan. De Bao's such a great kid. Why are you complaining? Others don't have someone like him even if they want to. You should be content. It was estimated that he would only have 1 grandchild in the future. Regardless if it was a grandson or granddaughter, as long as he or she was half as sensible as De Bao, he wouldn't have to worry about the He family's future. Jiaonan laughed bitterly. Was she complaining about De Bao? She was obviously feeling heartache for De Bao, who was taught to grow prematurely by the elders in the family. De Bao wasn't as playful and mischievous as Bao and San Bao. Jiaonan and He Yi had a harmonious relationship. People in the office were long used to this. Their relationship with Jiaonan, a junior, was pretty good as well. 4 years had passed. Jiaonan and Deng Wenchang were no longer considered newbies in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Last year, the ministry accepted 2 more people. In terms of hierarchy, these 2 were considered newbies. However, among these newbies, the youngest one was already 1 year older than Jiaonan. In the department, Jiaonan was their senior. However, in terms of age, Jiaonan had to call them her elders. The scene that the old people were already used to didn't mean that the young people would be accepting of it. Deng Wenchang belonged to the type that could not accept such a scene. Perhaps similarly afflicted people pitted each other. The 2 newbies didn't have a bad relationship with Jiaonan, but they had a better relationship with Deng Wenchang. Take a look at my document and see if there are any issues. Su Zhenming handed over the document he had organized to Deng Wenchang, wanting him to help see if there were any issues. After Deng Wenchang said that everything was good, he would hand the document over to the minister. Deng Wenchang's pen paused and he looked at Su Zhenming. Is this document urgent? It's still all right, Su Zhenming replied in embarrassment. If he completed it earlier, he could hand it over earlier and try to impress the minister. If he handed it over later, there wouldn't be any major issues. However, what if the minister misunderstood that he was incapable or lazy? After getting his answer, Deng Wenchang pushed his spectacles. If it's not urgent, put it aside first. When I'm done with the things on my hand, I'll help you take a look again. Of course, if it's really urgent, you can hand the document directly over to the minister. The minister takes care of newbies well. After all, there is one obvious example in the department. Everyone can see that. The minister is biased toward newbies. What is there for you to worry about? Deng Wenchang was quite unwilling to help these newbies suck up. Regardless if it was Su Zhenming or Li Daiyai, both of them paled in comparison to him and Xiaonan back then. Xiaonan had always maintained a record of 0 errors. Even if Deng Wenchang had some mistakes, they were minor. However, Su Xinming and Li Dayi made more mistakes than Xiaonan and Deng Wenchang back then. It was precisely because of this that He Yi didn't dare to pass anything too important to Su Xinming and Li Dayi. Sensing He Yi's attitude toward them, Su Xinming and Li Dayi wanted to stay in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs more. They even hoped to be promoted in the future. As such, He Yi's impression of them became more crucial. After a poor performance once, Su Xinming and Li Dayi let go of the arrogance in their hearts and ignored the fact that Xiaonan and Deng Wenchang were younger than them. They had entered the ministry first and were considered to be veterans. It was normal for Xiaonan and Deng Wenchang to perform better than them since they had more years of experience. If he was allowed to stay in the ministry for a few years, he promised that 4 years later, his performance would definitely not be worse than Xiaonan's and Deng Wenchang's today. It was common for newbies to ask their seniors wherever they were. As such, Su Xinming and Li Dayi didn't feel any psychological pressure or burden when they asked Xiaonan and Deng Wenchang for help. Once or twice, Deng Wenchang felt that these two newbies were similar to himself. They looked down on Xiaonan a little and felt that she wasn't suited to stay in the ministry. As such, he had helped them. To give directions to Su Xinming and Li Dayi as a senior, Deng Wenchang felt pretty good in his heart as well. After Su Xinming and Li Dayi joined them, Deng Wenchang, who had been suppressed by Xiaonan all along, had such a thought for the first time. Indeed, it wasn't that his performance was poor. It was that Xiaonan was too perverted. The reality proved that the first day performance of these two newbies, who were older than him, was far worse than his 5 or 6 years ago. One should know that after he joined the ministry for a year, he had begun to deal with these issues independently. There wasn't a need for him to consult the elders in the department. He handed the documents over to the ministry with great confidence. Out of 10 times, he had committed at most 1 or 2 minor mistakes. They weren't big issues. Looking at Su Xinming and Li Dayi in front of him again, Deng Wenchang's eyes flashed with annoyance. Su Xinming, do you still remember the comments I made previously? As the saying goes, the more you read, the more you learn. This is still quite practical. If you know that you're not as capable or don't have as much knowledge, which resulted in a lacking performance, then work harder and try to catch up. To make up for the lack of professional knowledge, one should ask their elder to impart more experience to them. If one knew that they were incapable, they should work even harder. In the current society, age did not equate to ability. Seeing that Su Xinming and Li Dayi weren't as capable but weren't hard-working either, Deng Wenchang couldn't help but feel irritated. Su Xinming and Li Dayi's appearance could only make Deng Wenchang happy for a short while as he became an outstanding person among the newbies. However, after interacting more with Su Xinming and Li Dayi, his initial sense of superiority gradually faded. When he saw Su Xinming again today, Deng Wenchang actually developed the mindset that instead of having colleagues like Su Xinming and Li Dayi, he'd rather work with Xiaonan. After having such a mindset, Deng Wenchang's relationship with the newbies was naturally not as good as before. Furthermore, He Yi valued the relationship he had with Xiaonan, so even if Su Xinming and Li Dayi didn't like Xiaonan in private and stood by Deng Wenchang's side, their attitude toward Xiaonan in public was still pretty friendly. Although Deng Wenchang wasn't someone who was offended by unreasonable things, it was obvious that Su Xinming and Li Dayi were trying their best to please both parties. He wasn't used to this and was more unwilling to help Su Xinming. What's your decision? Are you going to hand it over to the minister now, or let me take a look first after I'm free? After all, Su Xinming was a newbie and wasn't thick-skinned. After sensing that Deng Wenchang's words and attitude weren't good, he blushed angrily and took the document back. Since you're so busy, how would I disturb you? I'll hand this over to the minister directly for him to take a look. Chapter 1454, Outstanding among the rest. As he said this, Su Xinming specially took a look at the name of the book in Deng Wenchang's hands. Reading a book? He was reading a book at his workplace and saying that he was busy? The relationships Deng Wenchang and Qiao Nan relied on to enter the ministry were stronger than those of his and Li Daiyai. He actually dared to be absent-minded in such a grand manner and even told him he was busy? For real. Su Xinming felt that it was unfair and took back his document. He handed it over to He Yi in his office. After He Yi took a look, he revealed a pained expression, as if experiencing a headache. Xiao Su, you have to know that this is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It's a very important department to the country and people. Thus, we have a huge burden on our shoulders and we have a lot of responsibilities. I need capable talents here. It shouldn't be a case where the student hands up his homework to the teacher and the teacher has to amend the mistakes for the student. He used a pen to draw a line on it. I just read the first page and you've already made such a huge mistake. You even got the political style of this country wrong. Take this back and see for yourself. Also, Xiao Su, perhaps you should reconsider if this ministry really suits you. He Yi didn't understand. Since he was capable, why didn't he choose a department which he liked and could excel in? He just had to join his Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Su Xinming's face flushed red upon He Yi's lecturing. After apologizing, he took the document back and redid it. Looking at Su Xinming's back view, He Yi shook his head in anger. Young people nowadays are all impetuous. They lack the stubbornness and perseverance in learning. It was all right to not know. Who didn't start knowing from not knowing? As long as one was willing to work hard, everything wouldn't be a problem. It was all right to be stupid. However, if one wasn't hard-working enough, then that was a big problem. He Yi couldn't hold back and called the person who got Su Xinming into the department. This is the situation now. Are you sure you want him to continue staying here? To tell you the truth, I don't think he would develop himself well in my department. You'd better rearrange his future career prospect. The other party hesitated for a while. There's no rush. He really wants to enter the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Don't worry. I will consider this matter well and give you an answer soon. The other party was obviously not willing to take this lying down. He had spent a lot of effort to bring Su Xinming into the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Until now, Su Xinming didn't have any extraordinary performance. Instead, he received a call with He Yi's criticism. Okay. He Yi didn't think that the other party would simply dismiss the thought of letting Su Xinming stay in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs just because of his call. Smart people understood the importance of this department. It wasn't the first time that a situation similar to Su Xinming's and Li Daiyai's had happened. Didn't Qiao Nan and Deng Wenchang have a little of that experience as well? However, I have to tell you this again. There's a lot of work to be done in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Su Xinming isn't capable in this area, but I'm sure there's something for him to do in this huge unit. Don't argue with me then. At this point, it showed that He Yi had sent Su Xinming to sit on the cold bench and it was quite impossible for him to make a comeback. He Yi believed that Su Xinming would definitely perform well in the tasks of pouring tea, ordering lunch boxes, and running errands. The other party didn't want Su Xinming to leave and carried some hope. He Yi wasn't a toothless tiger who had no way to take Su Xinming out. If Su Xinming couldn't perform well, he would be kicked to a corner. If Li Daiyai behaved the same way, He Yi wouldn't go soft on him either. He had to let the newbies understand that he was the minister in the ministry, not some English lecturer or professor in a university. Unless one was below the university level, under normal circumstances, a teacher would not stare at one's homework every day, take a red pen out, and mark out everything clearly on it. That's ridiculous. Thinking of the two newbies in the department, He Yi couldn't help but start to carefully consider who would be the more appropriate out of the two to do menial tasks. After all, after receiving their due salary from the country, there should be other things for Su Xinming and Li Daiyai to do if they couldn't be in his department. He had to find out what these two were good at and make the best use out of them. After all, he had to match their monthly salary with their contributions. Su Xinming and Li Dai didn't know that not only did he not want to give them a chance to develop themselves, but he was also considering what position to arrange for them so that they could showcase their passion and shine. Did they really think they could slack off, spend each day leisurely, and get their salary comfortably at the end of each month? How was there such a good thing in this world? Su Xinming and Li Dai had to be worthy of all the taxpayers' money in China, right? Achoo! Achoo! Su Xinming and Li Dai, whom he was muttering about, couldn't help but sneeze, startling the people in the office. Did they catch a cold by any chance? If that was the case, they had to pay attention so that they could avoid getting infected. No, Su Xinming shook his head. My nose was just itchy for a while. Perhaps the air conditioner was too strong. The air conditioner in the department was centralized. Once it was switched on fully, the temperature would drop rapidly. However, no one in the office wore short-sleeved shirts or shorts. They were all wearing long-sleeved shirts and pants. Li Dai stood up and walked toward Xiao Nan. Xiao Nan, take a look at this. Am I right to write it in this manner? Li Dai was older than Xiao Nan, but Xiao Nan entered the ministry earlier than Li Dai. As such, both of them addressed each other directly by their names. Compared to Deng Wenchang, whose attitude changed according to his mood, Xiao Nan was more objective. She would help point out some problems. However, Xiao Nan was unwilling to help others at the moment. Li Dai, if I didn't remember wrongly, you made a grammatical mistake here. You have already asked me this a week ago. It's the same grammatical mistake. It's just that the scenario has changed. You're wrong again. Not only did Deng Wenchang not like these two newbies, but Xiao Nan didn't feel good about Su Xinming and Li Dai either. Xiao Nan used to be curious about Deng Wenchang's performance. Was that all an international student was capable of? Or was it that Deng Wenchang was considered a scum among the people educated overseas? Xiao Nan understood that Deng Wenchang was already considered not bad only after knowing Su Xinming and Li Dai. Chapter 1455, Banding Together to Defeat a Newbie. As for her performance, it would not be out of place to describe it as extraordinarily unique. As she read quite a lot, she almost had no free time at all. In addition, she had a wide circle of friends. If she needed to find any book, even if exceptionally rare ones, there would always be someone who would help her find it. In some ways, she already had some advantage by reading more and remembering more. Besides, with the foundation from her previous life, she was already on a different level compared to the others. While she was in junior high school, her classmates were still learning simple sentences. As long as Xiao Nan was willing, she could easily pass the level 4 and level 6 tests for English. In the few years that followed, Xiao Nan had never been negligent about English just because she had an additional lifetime of experience. Coincidentally, after she acknowledged Yuan Kong as a master, Xiao Nan's knowledge had become so profound that domestic college students and even foreign college students of the same age could not match up. In this way, even though Xiao Nan, Deng Wenchang, and all the others differed greatly in their ages, Xiao Nan was not lacking in any knowledge when compared to Deng Wenchang just because she had been born a few years later. She knew she was extraordinarily unique. And after having known Deng Wenchang for more than 5 years, having officially been colleagues for 4, Xiao Nan could tell that Deng Wenchang was extremely petty. While observing and narrow-mindedly comparing between the opportunities and treatments given to the two of them, Deng Wenchang was constantly improving himself at the same time. Unlike Su Xinming and Li Dai, who performed poorly when they had just entered the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, she had treated these two as complete newbies who had just arrived and could not adapt to this new environment. Slowly, the situation might change. But who would have known that in almost an entire year, Su Xinming and Li Dai did not make any progress. Every time Su Xinming encountered a problem, he would go to Deng Wenchang for help. It was as though Li Daiyai was collaborating with Su Xinming. Every time Li Daiyai encountered a problem, the person he would go to was always Jiao Nan. Other than Jiao Nan, there was no one else whom he would go to. Really? Is that so? Upon hearing Jiao Nan's words, Li Daiyai flushed with embarrassment. I don't seem to have any impression of that. Although Jiao Nan's voice was not loud, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs was rather quiet most of the time. As such, no matter how soft Jiao Nan's voice was, it was always very noticeable in the office. How about this? I'll check it through again myself. I'm so sorry to trouble you again. With lightning speed, Li Daiyai took back all the information that he had just handed over to Jiao Nan. After returning to his seat, he took out his pen and made corrections with a pretended air of importance. The sight of this was enough to render someone speechless. Jiao Nan was the most dumbfounded. If she ever had the chance, she had to ask her senior about his thoughts. Why did he have to leave these two in such unsuitable positions? Today's incident was not even the first time it had happened. Li Daiyai would commit the same mistakes that he had committed before after some time. He would even present them to Jiao Nan for approval, without any knowledge of his mistakes. This was really too careless. Truly meticulous people who are eager to learn would prepare a notebook and jot their mistakes down. Once they have time, they would then read through the notebook to refresh their memory and consolidate their knowledge. As a matter of fact, that was already a foolish way of working hard. People who are truly intelligent would never search for the answers and memorize them by rote only after the problem appears. People who are truly intelligent will take the initiative to find the problem and fully understand it even before the problem appears. Su Xinming and Li Daiyai could not do the latter, but they were nowhere near close to even the edge of the former. Even if Jiao Nan's temper was good and she did not take issue with how Su Xinming and Li Daiyai would occasionally look at her with contempt and disdain, Jiao Nan had never been soft with her admonishments in situations like this. She would never be gentler with her words or let them off easily just because Li Daiyai was a newbie or because men were afraid to be embarrassed. The word uncivilized was really apt in describing people like Li Daiyai. Was it because Su Xinming and Li Daiyai felt that Deng Wenchang and Jiao Nan were the youngest seniors in the department other than them? Or was it because they thought that it would be easier to communicate with Deng Wenchang and Jiao Nan since they were of the same age? Even if such a situation occurred today, if anything happened the next day, Su Xinming would still go to Deng Wenchang, and Li Daiyai to Jiao Nan to ask for advice. The thought of such a situation made Jiao Nan's gaze darken. A year's kindness was more than enough. A senior would normally guide a junior for at most 1 or 2 months. No one would do it for a whole year or two. If Li Daiyai was not willing to stop this, she would have to find a way to prevent Li Daiyai from coming to bother her in the future. How's it going? Have you thought of a solution? Deng Wenchang's voice rang out close to Jiao Nan. Lifting up her head, Jiao Nan was taken aback by Deng Wenchang's closeness to her. Why are you here? And what solution? Ever since she changed her seating arrangement, she was no longer seated next to Deng Wenchang. Deng Wenchang knew that Jiao Nan had specifically arranged it as such so as to distance herself from him. The arrogant Deng Wenchang was still unwilling for Jiao Nan to be seated too close to him. In these 4 years, Deng Wenchang had always made it a point to arrogantly walk around Jiao Nan's seat instead of directly walking past by her seat. It had already been 4 years, and this was the first time did Deng Wenchang not only not make a detour around Jiao Nan's desk, but he even took the initiative to talk to Jiao Nan. What else could it be? Deng Wenchang frowned. It's fine. You don't have to pretend in front of me. Or do you feel that it's inconvenient to speak here? We can find somewhere to chat after work. I'm annoyed. Those people who relied on connections to enter the Ministry of Foreign Affairs were not scary. It was the existence of people like Su Xinming and Li Daiyai that was really destructive. I don't understand. What kind of place is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs? Do you mean any kind of Tom, Dick, and Harry can enter our department to pass their time? There are so many talents in China. Since we have positions, shouldn't we leave them for those with ability? We're really not prioritizing national interests by giving our positions to people like that. If he could, Deng Wenchang really wanted to ask He Yi personally how these two fools managed to enter the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Deng Wenchang did not even use vicious names to name these two fools. It could be seen that Deng Wenchang's patience towards Su Xinming and Li Dayi had already run dry. Based on how Deng Wenchang clenched his jaw and gritted his teeth when mentioning the names of those two, Xiao Nan was sure that Deng Wenchang was prepared to be more merciless than her. Her only request was that Su Xinming and Li Dayi be out of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Chapter 1456, With comparison comes hurt. One should not disturb her work, let alone do something that would encumber the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and ruin the country's dignity and interests. The difference was that Deng Wenchang seemed to be determined to chase these two people out from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. They are not completely useless. But I do admit that they might not be suitable for their positions. I don't have any good solutions. My only solution is to ignore them. In the future, no matter what Li Dayi asks me, I'll ignore him and say that I don't know anything. Xiao Nan shrugged, expressing that she was not as ruthless as Deng Wenchang. To think that Deng Wenchang had initially thought that she was just a pretty face that had pulled on some strings to enter the department and that he would not need much effort to kick her out of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The benevolence of women. Deng Wenchang eyed Xiao Nan contemptuously before taking his leave happily. Deng Wenchang could take Xiao Nan's words for what they were. If Xiao Nan was really determined, along with help from the Zai family, he would never have been able to survive so long in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs so peacefully. If Xiao Nan was not going to do it, then he would have to personally take care of Su Xinming and Li Dayi. He did not believe that He Yi did not have anything to say about newbies like that. He was only afraid that He Yi would be willing to press on to see the success of these two people. What Deng Wenchang wanted to do was beyond Xiao Nan's control. What Xiao Nan could control was her perseverance to the end. Ever since Xiao Nan said that to Deng Wenchang, Xiao Nan strengthened her resolve. As long as Li Dayi came asking Xiao Nan for information, she would refuse to respond. She either replied that she was too busy and had no time for him, or simply coldly rejected him by saying that she did not know either. With such words and such an attitude, she had made it painfully obvious. Li Dayi was also one who cared about his dignity. He had not expected Xiao Nan to suddenly become so cold toward him after a whole year. Moreover, it was the kind of coldness where there was not even a sliver of warmness. She completely refused him. Li Dayi's face darkened and he could not help but scold Xiao Nan in his heart. What was there to be proud of? No matter how amazing or powerful Xiao Nan was, she was still nothing but a woman. She would never be the head of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. He would wait for Minister He Yi to step down from his position. And then, when the new minister took over, he would forge a good relationship with the new minister. When that time came, he would show Xiao Nan what he was worth. If he was not a newbie, Li Dayi would not even be willing to take on such tasks. He would be more than willing to throw them into the hands of Xiao Nan in the name of giving a newbie more opportunities to practice. If anything went wrong, Xiao Nan would take the blame. But if she did well, that was all because he had taught her well. Without his guidance, how would Xiao Nan be able to perform so well? It was such a pity that Li Dayi entered the Ministry of Foreign Affairs a few years after Xiao Nan. Li Dayi could only dream of such a wonderful work life from time to time. In reality, even if he had never addressed Xiao Nan, neither had he put up a haughty or arrogant attitude in front of Xiao Nan. Otherwise, Xiao Nan would not even have to do anything. With so many seniors in the department, just one word from each senior would harass Li Dayi so much that he would not dare to go to work for a few days. Xiao Nan's reply was that she did not know. But when Su Xinming went to ask Deng Wenchang for help, Deng Wenchang was much more impatient. Why do you always have problems? Did you not learn properly while you were in school? Or did your teachers and professors not teach you well? If that's the case, I have two suggestions for you. If the problem is you, then please go back and learn. Don't be like a primary school student who simply goes to the teacher for help when you encounter a problem. You don't even want to solve it by yourself. Of course, if the problem lies with your teacher, then shall I recommend some reliable and more knowledgeable teachers to you. Deng Wenchang was already 30 years old but was still childless. However, when faced with Su Xinming, he felt as though he was taking care of his son. If he were to have any children in the future, and if they were going to be anything like Su Xinming, Deng Wenchang would rather be childless for the rest of his life. He would much rather be like those Westerners who worked their whole lives and not have children. Anyway, there were too many people in China. The state restricted childbirth and advocated the idea of giving birth to only one child. Even if it was just responding actively to the national policy, it would be better not to have this child if possible or as late as possible. Otherwise, if he had a child like Su Xinming, Deng Wenchang would probably want to kill himself. In any case, with Deng Wenchang and Qiaonan putting up their fronts and attitudes, Su Xinming and Li Daiyai no longer had the cheek to turn to these two elders for help just as when they were newbies in the past. Seeing this situation, many seniors in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs sniggered. This should have been the way since a long time ago. If it were them, they would have long ignored these lazy youngsters. There was a difference between newbies as well. Even if Deng Wenchang thought highly about himself, other than Qiaonan whom he could not match up to, he was miles ahead of Su Xinming and Li Daiyai. Under such circumstances, people in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs really had no need to pay any attention to Su Xinming or Li Daiyai. With tempers like those two, there was only one word to describe them: wanting to be a part of the family, impossible. But there was no way to teach this. Qiaonan had to stand up on her own. As such, when Qiaonan finally strengthened her resolve, there was not a single person in the office who felt that Qiaonan was being a hard-hearted senior. Rather, they felt that Qiaonan had been too kind-hearted to have put up with her juniors up until today. Unlike Deng Wenchang, who had been frustrated for a long time. If Qiaonan had not continued to put up with her juniors, Deng Wenchang would have started ignoring Su Xinming long ago. As a newbie in the same batch, Deng Wenchang had waited for a long time, expecting Qiaonan to say something about the situation so that he would not seem mean and harsh to the newbies. Once Deng Wenchang and Qiaonan hardened their attitudes, Su Xinming and Li Daiyai had no other choice. The duo could only come together to think of a solution. After all, it would be impossible for either of them to stay in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, much less progress in their careers if they performed poorly. Hello, I'm the mother of Zai Yi, Zai Xin, and Zai Yu. I'll be a little late today. Can you please ask Teacher Yu to look after my 3 children for half an hour? I will rush down to the school and pick up my children within an hour after school ends. As she had a lot on her plate, it was inevitable that she would be bound up with work. At such a time, everyone in the department was usually busy at the same time and no one could leave first. Even though He Yi knew that Qiaonan needed to pick her children up and offered to take over part of Qiaonan's work to allow her to leave earlier, Qiaonan herself refused. Chapter 1457, Striving for a Good Performance. Of course, if her work efficiency was high enough and she could complete the task in advance, nobody would talk bad about her if she made a move first. No matter how fast Qiaonan rushed, she could only make herself half an hour late. Worried that the children couldn't wait and would head home themselves first, Qiaonan sent a short message to the children's headmaster, Teacher Yu, when she went to the washroom. Thankfully, the 3 children were in the same class. Otherwise, Qiaonan would have to send out similar messages thrice. Within half a minute, the children's headmaster agreed to it. Only then did Qiaonan feel more at ease. She left the washroom in a rush. Everyone in the office took Qiaonan's speed seriously. When Qiaonan finished organizing the information on her hands and wanted to key them into her computer, the crisp sound of typing with the keyboard could be heard. In the quiet office, this sounded even stranger and more attractive. Su Xinming and Li Daiyai looked at each other. This was the first time they saw Jiaonan using a computer. They didn't know that Jiaonan could type so quickly, and she pretty much didn't need to look at the keyboard. From her typing speed and frequency, it was obvious that an average clerk couldn't be compared to Jiaonan. They turned back and thought about how they always stumbled in their typing and couldn't type much content in an hour. Su Xinming's and Li Daiyai's faces tightened. It was rare for them to be stunned at Jiaonan's all-rounded ability. After finishing her work, Jiaonan hurriedly picked up her bag and was ready to leave to pick up the children. However, Li Daiyai blocked Jiaonan's way when she just stood up and walked a few steps. Jiaonan's facial expression immediately turned ugly. "I'm sorry. Please get out of the way. My children are already out of school, so I have to hurry and pick them up." When the 27-year-old Jiaonan was in the unit, not only could she generously mention that she was already a married woman, but she could also bring up the fact that she had children. Li Daiyai blushed and looked at this girl who was younger than her. Her face was like a blooming flower, and she looked younger than a female university student. Li Daiyai wasn't young anymore. Although he was unmarried, he never stopped having girlfriends. The first time he entered the ministry, he was surprised by Jiaonan's looks. He felt lucky that not only was there a female in the department, but more importantly, this female was so pretty. Who knew that once Li Daiyai had such a mindset? The seniors in the unit quickly reminded him that Jiaonan was already married with children. At that point in time, Li Daiyai felt that his face had been stepped on. That was the first day he entered the ministry and he had already made such an embarrassing mistake. Undoubtedly, the seniors in the unit spoke to him in such a manner because they noticed something was amiss by the way Li Daiyai looked at Jiaonan. It could be said that Li Daiyai had made a big joke the moment he entered the ministry. Even if no one should know about this, he would, at the very most, just look at Jiaonan a while longer if he felt his heart wavering. He had never pursued Jiaonan and didn't confess to her before. After sorting out his thoughts, Li Daiyai chose to completely forget the incident that happened on his first day of work. Who knew that Jiaonan would suddenly reply in such a manner? Even if Jiaonan didn't mean it, Li Daiyai felt uncomfortable in his heart that Jiaonan mentioned she was going to the school to pick up her children. He felt that Jiaonan was being sarcastic to him. "Jiaonan, everyone is still busy working. It's not too good if you leave first, right? Our department is a very united place. Since you do it fast, why don't you help everyone out?" Most importantly, Li Daiyai had too many things on his hands and couldn't complete them. Even if he was willing to work overtime today, he couldn't complete the task. As soon as he was at work tomorrow, he would have to continue doing the work from the day before. Li Daiyai didn't want to do such hard work. Anyway, Jiaonan had already completed hers. Nothing was wrong if she helped everyone shoulder a little bit of work so that everyone could complete the task as soon as possible. By doing so, Jiaonan would help improve their ministry's unity. Jiaonan rubbed her lips tightly and said, "Li Daiyai, some things need to be made clear. It hasn't been a year since you joined the ministry. As such, you might not be clear about the matters in the ministry. I feel that if you don't know the situation, you shouldn't voice out. I have interned at the ministry for half a year now, and I have worked for more than 4 years. It's not the first time that we have encountered a workload like today. In the past, a similar situation like today had never happened before. Why is it that we must make exceptions now that you're here?" So many people in the ministry didn't ask her for help before. How did Li Daiyai become so thick-skinned to have said that they should help one another out so that the whole department could become more united? Sure, she could help. However, who was going to help her pick up the triplets? "Okay, you don't have to tell me anything. Let me make this clear. Before your arrival, our ministry had never encountered such a mess before. Everyone has their own workload. We should be maintaining the work attitude of each performing its own functions. We can only improve the ministry's operations if we complete our own tasks. I'll give you a suggestion. If you really want to strengthen the ministry's unity, as long as you do something well, I believe our ministry will become more united. Knowing that Li Dai wasn't someone who gave up easily, Xiao Nan interrupted Li Dai and didn't give him a chance to speak. Since she gave him face and he didn't want it, Xiao Nan felt that there wasn't a need to give Li Dai any face anymore. You and Su Zhenming have already joined the ministry for a period of time. Back when Deng Wenchang and I joined the ministry, we practically didn't have the same kind of performance as the both of you. I feel that if you could improve your personal capabilities and not cause others trouble, I believe that without your other efforts, our department would definitely not be disunited. At this point in time, Xiao Nan's patience for Li Dai broke. She didn't understand. Li Dai obviously knew what his shortcomings were. Why didn't he try to improve himself but engage in such cheap tricks every day instead? Did water enter his brain? Did he really think that the ministry purely relied on brains to get things done and emotional intelligence to improve relationships with others? Do you understand? After Xiao Nan said these, Li Dai didn't reply for a long time. Seeing at how moved you look, needless to say, you must have understood it and are feeling ashamed. No matter what, it's never too late to make amendments. Change your shortcomings in the future and try not to cause trouble to other colleagues. Chapter 1458, Stabbing Back. Firstly, you have to complete your task with 100% quality. Don't worry. We will continue to look at you like the same way before. We would definitely not look at you with tinted glasses or distrust purely because of your poor work performance before. After saying this last sentence, Xiao Nan stepped forward and brushed past Li Dai. She rushed out faster than before. Xiao Nan was late for another 5 minutes because of Li Dai. If she continued to delay Teacher Yu from knocking off work, she would feel embarrassed. Also, Xiao Nan was worried that the triplets were anxious while waiting. When she thought of how the triplets were waiting for her in school, Xiao Nan, who was walking quickly, hated Li Dai even more. It looked like she was too gentle to Li Dai just now. She should have used simpler and ruder words to make Li Dai feel ashamed. If the triplets threw temper later because she was late, she would definitely deal with Li Dai the next time she saw him. Once Xiao Nan left the office building, a car directly stopped in front of her. Xiao Nan, who was already furious, glared at it. She nearly wanted to kick this car that was in her way and leave a footmark. However, upon thinking that the car was made from iron and that the footmark could be wiped off easily, Xiao Nan held it back. The more anxious she was, the more things were crowded together. Xiao Nan told herself not to be angry and anxious and that the triplets were still in school waiting for her. Before Xiao Nan could walk around the car windows were winded down. A cute and familiar face was revealed and she shouted sweetly, "Mom! We are here with Dad to pick you up from work." For the triplets, today was really a huge surprise. Their father was a big hero outside and the triplets only saw him a few times each year. Seeing that he suddenly returned, the triplets were so happy that they screamed with joy in school. They pulled their classmates and introduced to them, saying, "This is my dad." Their classmates were only short of replying, "Why are you so happy? It's as if we don't have fathers and you're the only ones who have one." After that, they heard their dad saying that he was going to bring them along to pick their mom up and became even happier. Although they were so grown up now, they had never picked their mom up before. It was always their mom who drove to pick the triplets up and head home. Once they reached the office building where their mom worked, before their dad could give her a call for her to head downstairs, they already saw their mom walking out from the door and standing in front of their dad's car. This must be the legendary Great Minds Think Alike. "Sanbao, the three of you and Dad came to pick me up from work." Xiao Nan was stunned and didn't understand what her youngest daughter meant. After Xiao Nan blinked and recovered, she looked toward the driver's seat. Indeed, she saw a cold and eye-catching face. "Brother Zai, when did you return?" Zai Sheng got down from the car and helped Jiao Nan open the passenger door so that she can sit in. "Just today." When Zai Sheng reached home, the triplets were about to end their lessons. He was afraid to miss the children, thus he didn't leave the house. However, after realizing that the four of them hadn't reached home when they should have, Zai Sheng drove over to the school where the triplets were studying first. This was the first time Zai Sheng went to the triplets' school after they started attending primary school. After confirming that Zai Sheng was really the triplets' father, Teacher Yu agreed to let him pick them up. Through Teacher Yu, Zai Sheng knew that Jiao Nan knocked off work late today. As such, he brought the triplets along to pick Jiao Nan up from work. It was really rare for the family of 5 to have a day like today. After Zai Sheng pulled open the car door, Jiao Nan naturally sat in the passenger's seat. Specially came back to celebrate the triplets' birthday. Jiao Nan smiled. The triplets had been going to school for a month and it was National Day soon. This meant that the triplets' birthday was coming soon as well. It was said that after becoming a soldier, he would care about the nation but not the family. However, Jiao Nan felt that Zai Sheng did a great job. For example, Zai Sheng really spent very little time at home in a year. However, he would try to spend his vacation days on days that were of special significance to his family. The day the triplets were born was naturally the most memorable. As such, wherever possible, Zai Sheng would try to take a few days off at the end of September. Even if Jiao Nan was already used to Zai Sheng's practice, there were always sudden situations in Zai Sheng's army. Jiao Nan didn't want to get the children's hopes up as they would be more disappointed in the end. As such, she didn't mention this scenario. As time passed and Jiao Nan was busy with work, she only remembered that it was the end of September when she saw Zai Sheng return. There was at least a 70% possibility that Zai Sheng returned home because of that. Yes. Of course, it was also to see his wife. A lot of work today. He heard from his mother that Nan was late for quite a bit today. It's nothing. There's just a heavy workload. What I have a headache over is that there are 2 troublesome newbies who joined the ministry. I could suddenly understand how disgusted Deng Wenchang felt in his heart over my appearance when I joined the ministry later than him back then. The arrival of a newbie meant that there was going to be a lot of trouble. Initially, Deng Wenchang treated her like a bimbo and was disgusted. After that, he was naturally disgusted because her ability was above his. Poor working ability. Zai Sheng understood how Jiao Nan was feeling. Regardless of where it was, there would inevitably be 1 or 2 of such scenarios. Whenever Zai Sheng encountered such a thing, he would just throw the person to the corner without saying a word. After training, if the person's ability wasn't bad, Zai Sheng was willing to give him a chance to perform. If the situation was the same as before, and that person kept complaining about the tough training, then it was even easier for Zai Sheng. After kicking this person to a corner, Zai Sheng would no longer bother about him and treated him as if he didn't exist. What was different was that Zai Sheng had great power and could make such arrangements. He could first allow them to train their capabilities before deciding if he should give them a chance. If they weren't capable, then no chances would be given. However, Jiao Nan couldn't do so. She was just an ordinary employee. Even if Su Xinming and Li Dayi were not pleasing to the eye, aside from her being able to kick Li Dayi back when he came looking for trouble, there was nothing more Jiao Nan could do. It's nothing to have a poor working ability. The attitudes of these 2 newbies are very extreme. They know that they have poor capabilities but are unwilling to work hard to improve themselves. They are just like primary school children, treating their task like an assessment and keep asking around for comments. I'm not afraid of children being stupid. I'm afraid that after teaching them, they wouldn't be hard-working. Chapter 1459, Saying Strange Words. I have already explained a point to him once. After the matter's done, he didn't revise and digest the information. When he encountered the same problem, he still got it wrong and even came to find me. Damn it! In front of the 3 children, Xiao Nan had already tried her best not to use swear words. However, she was really angered by Li Dai. She had not encountered such a situation before with her triplets at home, let alone an adult like Li Dai. Her children were still studying in primary school. As long as she explained a problem and the children expressed their understanding, they wouldn't make a mistake again when encountering a similar problem. Xiao Nan felt that Li Dai was hopeless because he didn't digest the information he was taught. I feel that this person is probably lazy. He will do his work once, and let others pick out his mistakes afterward. That's easy and simple. I find it strange then. I'm doing double work, but am I being paid double? What's his name? Aside from Xiao Zijin and Ding Ji, Zai Sheng rarely heard Xiao Nan's tone being so bad when mentioning a person. Zai Sheng's eyes shone. The person Nan Nan was talking about was really a genius. Xiao Nan turned her face and looked at Zai Sheng. What do you want to do? Nothing. Zai Sheng smiled. He's from your department, not my army. No matter what I think, I won't be able to do anything to him. Of course, unless this person had relatives who were his men. Zai Sheng would occasionally take it out on others as well. Xiao Nan snorted, expressing that he didn't believe Zai Sheng's words. However, Xiao Nan didn't hide Li Dai's name and said it out loud. Li Dai. Sigh. Once Xiao Nan said this name, Zai Sheng immediately realized that the world was huge, but things were always so coincidental. It looks like people from the Li family like to go this route. One of them went to the army while the other went to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Did the people from the Li family think that every department in China was part of their backyard? Wherever there was a good place, they would just stuff their children there. They wouldn't even take a look to see if their children had the strength and ability in the first place. If not for giving the Li family face, would the person surnamed Li in the army last for so long? Xiao Nan rolled her eyes. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs wasn't the only place the Li family was eyeing. They wanted to have some influence in Zai Sheng's army as well. Xiao Nan drank a sip of water and quickly changed the topic with Zai Sheng because the 3 children were still in the back seat. If it were other children, Xiao Nan wouldn't be too worried. However, once they grew up, Xiao Nan had to worry about a lot more. Her children were too smart, especially Dabao. Not only did he understand a lot of words, but he even knew how to analyze and remember things. Xiao Nan had to start from herself and try her best not to put too much burden and pressure on Dabao. From the rearview mirror, she saw Dabao pulling a long face and listening carefully to what they were saying. Xiao Nan felt disheartened and smiled. Dabao, did you forget what you promised me earlier? Dabao blinked. You two have said so yourselves. Bao and San Bao had listened as well. Without earmuffs, I can't cover my ears. It was purely because he was forced to listen to everything today. His mom couldn't put the blame on him. He had kept his agreement with her and tried his best not to consider these matters. Bao and San Bao were implicated by Dabao before they could understand what their mother's words meant. Bao widened his eyes at Dabao, with an expression that spelled, I really didn't expect you to be such a person. Even San Bao looked like she suffered a huge attack. Dabao, you have become bad. Cough. Dabao cleared his throat and pretended to look away calmly, focusing on the scenery outside the car. However, his blushing ears revealed that Dabao wasn't used to doing such things and he was feeling shy. It was rare for the Zai family to be reunited. The Zai family enjoyed their dinner well. Among them, Old Master Zai was the most obvious in showing this. He even got Miao Jing to bring out the best wine in the house. He took a small sip. When I was young, I loved drinking wine. It's a pity that your mother was strict and didn't allow me to drink as she felt that it would be harmful to my body. I continued to drink a lot in my lifetime. When I fought in wars, I suffered a lot of injuries. At that point in time, your mother kept crying and asked why I didn't cherish myself. If something happened to me, what would she and Yaowai do? Dad. Miao Jing's heart moved and she raised her eyebrows. She felt that it was strange for old Master Zai to be saying these words. Aren't you doing well? Zai Yaowai became silent. He naturally had a deeper impression of his mother than anyone else but was still second to old Master Zai. After Miao Jing married him and gave birth to Zai Hua and Zai Sheng, he lost his mother not too long later. When his mother was gone, Zai Yaowai knew that his father didn't want to continue living. He wanted to die together with his wife. However, his father couldn't do so. He was still young and didn't have a high rank in the army. If something happened to old Master Zai then as well, then the Zai family would have collapsed by now. The Zai family's perseverance didn't fall but instead became stronger and stronger. This was all thanks to old Master Zai, who hung in there when he was young. Everyone else thought that old Master Zai, who had been seriously ill before, managed to pull through for the sake of everyone in the family and that he couldn't bear to leave his two grandsons. Only Zai Yaowai knew that old Master Zai could hang in there until today because before his mother left, she pulled old Master Zai's hand and said, "Old Zai, my body hasn't been good since I was young, thus I only managed to give birth to a son, Yaowai. However, our Yaowai can win against all the other children in other families. Old Zai, it could be said that I didn't disappoint your family. I'll leave earlier. I have already guessed this in my heart. Old Zai, you have to promise me. We only have this one son and it took great pains for us to have grandchildren. You have to help me keep an eye on them more. When you're old, it's a huge blessing to have 5 generations in the family. Old Zai, if our family works hard enough, can you take a look at the 4 generations on my behalf?" Zai Sheng's grandma's health was really not good. She had been ill ever since she was in her mother's womb. When Zai Sheng's grandma was still young, a lot of people in the same village felt that she had the life of a servant. Nobody would dare to marry a girl like her. Within a couple of days of marriage, the bride could be gone and it would simply be too unlucky. However, nobody expected that the most good-looking and capable man in the village, old Master Zai, would fancy her, a girl who was despised by everyone. Chapter 1460, Intensifying. Knowing that this lady was weak, could not work after marriage, and had to recuperate, a bunch of people advised old Master Zai to marry anyone but this sick woman. Then, that person could at least take care of the family. But it was as though old Master Zai had fallen under a spell. He insisted on marrying this lady. 3 years after the two married, she was still not pregnant. As such, there were rumors that this lady had already been plagued with illness the moment she was born. It seemed like not only would her lifespan be short, but she was also barren. Right at this time, the Second World War broke out. There was chaos within the country and people's lives were particularly hard. It was said that old Master Zai made a decision to become a soldier based on one incident. Japan had invaded China and had committed countless atrocities. In particular, the Three Alls policy generated hate from the Chinese. In old Master Zai's village, there was a good harvest every year. And thus, it was only natural that it caught their attention. Old Master Zai heard that the Japanese insulted Chinese women upon seeing them and his eyes burned with fury. Upon confirming the information that a small Japanese band of soldiers with guns was coming to his village to rob the villagers, old Master Zai made up his mind. He banded together with the villagers and wiped out all the Japanese troops at once. After burying these Japanese troops, old Master Zai took the Japanese guns and bullets for himself and organized a village militia to protect the village. When an officer of the Red Army heard of this, he spotted some innate talent in old Master Zai and wanted to put such a talent to good use. Old Master Zai's family was rather well-to-do in the village. When he was younger, old Master Zai even studied in the town's private school. Thus, he was literate and civilized. If it was not for his excellent family background, old Master Zai would not be so popular amongst the village girls. Then again, because old Master Zai was literate, his experiences were different from the ordinary folks. He knew that he had to protect his country if he wanted to protect his family. Even if he was able to protect his family alongside the villagers. He knew that as long as China did not win over Japan and chased the Japanese out of the country, such an incident was bound to happen again and again. If he wanted to protect his family, he would first have to protect the nation. And so, Old Master Zai made a decision that shocked the whole village. He decided to join the army. Upon hearing such an answer, everyone was dumbfounded. The lady whom Old Master Zai had married was not in good health and neither was she delicate. But Old Master Zai liked her. Everyone in the village knew that Old Master Zai treated his wife like a gem. This lady had probably accumulated luck over a few lifetimes to meet such a good man like Old Master Zai. But the problem was that once Old Master Zai joined the army, there would be no one to take care of this frail and weak lady. Was Old Master Zai really willing to leave his wife without anyone to take care of her? Was he not afraid that without his care, she would not be able to take it and would pass on just like that? Of course, Old Master Zai was not such an unreliable person. Before leaving, he made arrangements for Grandma Zai's life. Grandma Zai was extremely supportive of Old Master Zai's career and told Old Master Zai that she had survived and lived well for 18 years before marrying him. There was no reason that she would not be able to take care of herself and starve herself to death only 3 years after marrying him. She would much rather rely on herself. She promised to take good care of herself and await the return of Old Master Zai. After the couple agreed on it, Old Master Zai took with him only one set of clothes and 2 pairs of shoes that his wife had made for him and joined the army. Coincidentally, the night before he left, the woman who had become known in the village as the precious hen who could not lay eggs became pregnant. Fortunately, the timing could be matched. Grandma Zai did not like to go out, and neither did she have any goings with other men. With Old Master Zai in the army, the villagers were also willing to help take care of Grandma Zai. All the village elders and men knew that the baby in Grandma Zai's stomach had to be Old Master Zai's. 10 months later, a baby was born. The moment Zai Yayawai opened his eyes, there was not a single person in the village who questioned whom the father of this child might be. Just based on Zai Yayawai's face, which looked like it had been formed from the same mold as Old Master Zai, alone, there would be no one who would believe that the two were not father and son. Grandma Zai had survived through such arduous times. And even without her husband at her side, she brought up a strong baby all the same. Gradually, the villagers changed their attitudes toward Grandma Zai. Although her body was a little weak, she could still have children, raise children, and take care of the family. She was really not a bad woman. In the days that Old Master Zai was not by their side, everyone thought that Grandma Zai and Zai Yayawai were living comfortably. Only Zai Yayawai knew just how hard it was for his mother to raise him. If it was not for him, his mother would not be in such poor health. After the founding of the People's Republic of China, she did not enjoy many years of happiness before she passed on. Thankfully, she did have the chance to see her grandchildren. The early death of Grandma Zai could be said to be an old sore of Old Master Zai and Zai Yayawai that couldn't be touched. Even after so many years, Old Master Zai still could not forget Grandma Zai. But he rarely spoke about Grandma Zai in front of his whole family. As such, it was no wonder Miaojing was so taken aback when he had suddenly mentioned it today. "Dad, eat more vegetables." Miaojing had a little impression of her mother-in-law. When she had just married into the family, her mother-in-law was already ill in bed and they saw each other at most twice a day. Every time she went to look after her mother-in-law, the smell of medicine was stinging. Of course, it was not that Miaojing was unwilling to take care of her sick mother-in-law. But as long as it concerned Grandma Zai, Old Master Zai did not like others to interfere and preferred to do it himself. Old Master Zai had said that because of the war, he had only had a mere 3 years of time that he was able to properly spend with her after marriage. Now that their daughter-in-law had married into the family and the country was at peace, he could finally stay by Grandma Zai's side. When Zai Sheng was born and weaned, Grandma Zai could no longer take it and passed on in the next spring. While old Master Zai fought in the war, he had accumulated countless injuries and performed well. He had become a soldier early and made great achievements. With that, the people in charge acquiesced in old Master Zai's retirement and even gave Zai Yaowai more opportunities to make up for old Master Zai's early retirement. As Zai Yaowai set his sights on climbing the ladder, old Master Zai had still not completely recovered from the pain of losing his wife. Miao Jing quietly took up the responsibility of caring for the family. She not only had to take care of her elders and her children, but when she went out, she also had to endure Qi Minlan's ridicule and mockery. It could be said that the 2 to 3 years following Grandma Zai's death were the hardest in Miao Jing's life. When Zai Yaowai defeated Xi Peng, Zhu Jinqi became the youngest middle-aged chief through his own efforts, skills and outstanding performance, thus intensifying Qi Minlan's mockery of Miao Jing.